priest me.
And it's interesting when you say more traditional. The vast amount of people would agree with you, but it really depends on what you mean by traditional. You know?
Okay, priest me.
What is traditional?
Well, what is the difference between Rite 1 and Rite 2?
Okay, so the short answer is language, right? So Rite 1, the prayers are written in Old English. These and thous and all that stuff. And the language is beautiful. It's a language of Shakespeare, right? And a lot of people were raised with that language. And that was the only language in the prayer book until 1979 in the Episcopal Church.
Oh, wow. That's neat.
It is. There's something that like tugs at my heart a little bit about it, in both good ways and bad ways. So let's go back to the very beginning of the Anglican Church, when there was just Roman Catholics, right? And all the worship was in Latin. Most people didn't speak Latin, but all the worship was in Latin. That was true in Roman Catholic churches in the United States until the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah, until Vatican II. So, I mean, it's allowed to you, but, you know, like most of the people in this church remember a time when all of the Roman Catholic masses were in Latin.
How can you understand anything?
You didn't.
Understand what you're doing?
You didn't, which was one of the big points in the English Reformation, in this formation of the Anglican Church. Like one of our principles was worship should be in a language that is spoken and understood by the people who are there. And that was the first time they translated a prayer book into English. And they translated it into the English of the day, which was what we now call Old English, right? Now, there are really glaring exceptions, but in my experience, usually when I ask somebody who really loves Rite 1, the Old English language, and I ask them, why do you like it? Usually they say the language is beautiful, it's reverent, and it's formal.
Okay.
Which, this is where it starts tugging at my heart a bit. Not because I don't like the Old English or Rite 1, but because there is a feature of Rite 1 that I think that often gets lost, maybe perhaps especially in the people that love it most sometimes. So if you study your Shakespeare, right?
Nope.
Okay, well, if you were to, you would have if you had a character talking to a friend, they would refer to their friend as thee and thy. They wouldn't say you or your.
Okay.
But if that same character turned around and talked to a king, they wouldn't say thy will. They would say your will.
Okay.
You and your in Old English is for formal and plural, and thee and thy is for informal, intimate, singular references.
Right.
Similarly, in French, there's like tu and vous, or in Spanish, there's equivalents. Like most of the Romance languages, they've got this kind of thing, but it got lost and just all became you in English today. So when the prayers in Rite 1 you have you talking to God and you're saying of thy will, they're not talking in the way that you would talk to the president. They're talking the way that you would talk to your best friend, your lover, your child, like the most intimate relationships. So it's interesting because in some ways it is reverent, but it would be more reverent to say you or your, even in Old English. But they decided thee and thy was better in our prayer life because of how close God is to us and to our souls. They chose this very intimate tense. And so I'm very supportive of people doing Rite 1, but I want the people, when you do Rite 1, I want people to know that like it's this very intimate language, not just beautiful and not just reverent, but intimate language. And that was done intentionally.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So priest, me